Hello, everybody. Come on in the room. Welcome to session 4. This is our 3-day workshop that is all about our finances, or our financial workshop that is talking about money, money, money. Y'all, we are talking about money. And so our session today, this is actually our 4th session, and we are so excited to talk about this, y'all, because we have been talking about seeing money, getting money, tracking money, and growing money. And so session 4 is going to be all about, guess what? Tracking that money. And so quick housekeeping before we jump right into our presentation is that this workshop and during these sessions, it is interactive. So of course, we will be able to answer questions live. And so put your questions in the comment section, in the comment section, and at the end of the session, we will be able to ask our presenter some questions, y'all. We are super excited. So this session 4, is all about tracking money, and it is managing your money with QuickBooks. And Matt Schampers, he is a CPA and QuickBooks Pro advisor. Okay, y'all. We are about to learn how to do some QuickBooks, y'all. And Matt is with Verkuilen, and he's gonna have to say it again because I think I totally just messed up the name, and associates, CPAs. And so we are super excited. Matt, come on into the room. How are you doing? How are you doing?
Very good. Thank you for having me.
Yes, Matt. And please say the name correctly of your organization.
Verkuilen and Associates.
Verkuilen and Associates. So yes, thank you for making that clear for us. And so we are super excited, and we are going to get your presentation up because we want to learn more about QuickBooks. Take it away, Matt.
All right. So QuickBooks actually has different versions. They have a not-for-profit specific version. They have small business. They have different things that they're geared towards, but they're all basically the same. Just, there's slight differences, variations based on it. But if you know how to do one, you know how to do them all. We will focus on QuickBooks Online. There's also QuickBooks Desktop, and we'll talk about the differences between the two a little bit. Can we go to the next slide? As Ramona mentioned, I'm Matt Schampers. I'm from Verkuilen and Associates CPAs. We're a full-service accounting firm. We specialize in small business and not-for-profits. The businesses we work with range from a sole proprietor with no employees up to probably about 30, 40 employees, and then anywhere from $10,000 in revenues to $5 million in revenue. So we're kind of all over that range. Bigger than that, you're usually looking at a bigger accounting firm. And we do some outsourced accounting, tax planning, tax preparation. As you can imagine, right now is tax time. So that's kind of what we're up to our eyeballs in. As far as QuickBooks goes, we do QuickBooks training and review services. It's customized to your needs. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different level of comfort with software, with accounting software, and everybody's business is different. So it's customized to your needs, year-end journal entries, accounting system cleanup, reconciliations, all of that. We do all of it. So that's us. Can we go to the next slide? So we'll go over 3 things, and then we'll go into QuickBooks a little bit. So really, I want to go over what is QuickBooks Online, compare QuickBooks Online to QuickBooks Desktop, and then just discuss the benefits of QuickBooks Online, the reasons I think that makes a little more sense usually for most businesses. Can we go to the next slide, please? What is QuickBooks Online? QuickBooks Online is a cloud-based version of QuickBooks. Most software now offers a version in the cloud. For those that might not know, that the cloud is essentially saying you're doing it all through the internet. So in this case, Intuit, they have servers where they have the QuickBooks installed on their servers, and we use the website to log in. So they do the hosting for us. They do the updating for us. They do that back end stuff. So that's what cloud means. Some people are concerned, security of information in the cloud. But I can tell you it's come a long way, and it's to the point now where, not that the government's the end all be all, but the government uses it. CIA uses things in the cloud. Like, the cloud is pretty accepted and pretty secure at this point. QuickBooks Online is a monthly fee. There's different options. We'll go over those. That used to differentiate it from QuickBooks Desktop, but not anymore. Starting in 2022, QuickBooks Desktop is also a subscription. It's an annual fee, but you're paying an annual subscription price. It used to be you bought the software, you put it on your computer, and you had it. That's no longer the case, whether it's desktop or online. And as I mentioned, you just access it through the website. That's how there's no install, there's nothing to download, you just need the internet. Next slide, please. So our differences between QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Desktop. The main differences are QuickBooks Online, multiple users can be in your file at a time. So if I'm here and I'm logged into QuickBooks and Ramona's there, or Kim's there, and they're logged into the same QuickBooks, we all can be in it at once, we all can be working in it at once, and there's no issue with that. So if you have someone doing invoicing and you have someone else doing account reconciliations, that's fine. It's not a one-person deal. More administrative tasks are handled. Kind of mentioned that before, but when you have QuickBooks Online, the updating and the backing up of your data, that's happening automatically. It happens each hour by Intuit, so you don't have to worry about any of that. And it can be accessed anywhere you have internet. They do have apps, so your smartphone or your tablet. I haven't used those a lot just because when you're doing accounting, like the accountant type tasks, that screen wouldn't necessarily be sufficient. But I do have some clients that's the only thing they use. They use it for billing, they use it for paying their bills, doing their payroll. They do everything on their phone and they love it and it works well. And then another thing with QuickBooks Online is you can invite your accountant to have access. So what that means is you go into the website and you go to where you would do it, you type in my email address or whatever accountant may be, you send it and I can accept the invite. And then at that point, I'm able to just log onto the internet and go into your file. So if you have questions, if you're having issues, I can actually see what you're looking at. For any work that I might be doing for you, if it's year end or payroll, I can just go right in. With QuickBooks Desktop, because that's locally on your machine, you actually need to create a file and either put it through our website portal or you have to bring it over to us. And there's two different types of files. There's an accountant's copy or a backup. Either way, if we're then doing work in it, you've got to wait, get that file back and load it, or replicate what we did. So it can be difficult to get some assistance, and it can be a bit time consuming when you're doing the back and forth with your accountant. A nice thing with desktop is internet's not required. It's on your computer. So you don't need to worry about having internet. You can use it anytime. They do have a little more customization features, reporting functionality. Honestly, though, the additions that they have are a bit beyond really anything that I've seen any of our clients use or that I use. So I don't know that that's too applicable, but that is there. And then another downside to desktop is only one user can access the file. You can install it on 3 computers, I believe, if you have a server where you're actually accessing the database. But even if you have it on 3 computers, if one person's in, no one else can get in to be working in QuickBooks at that time. Next slide, please. So QuickBooks Online, what does it cost? There's really 4. There's a 4th one over here that I didn't put on. It's a bit beyond what most people, turn my ringer off, what most people would be using. The first one, Simple Start, that's geared more towards a sole proprietor that is doing a Schedule C, so adding a schedule to their tax return and not having employees to pay, not paying bills through Simple Start. You can create invoices for charging your customers. You can track your cash. You can download your bank activity and reconcile it. You can do basic financial report. So it's very good to that specific group of people. If that's what you're looking for, it does a great job with it. You're just pretty limited to go anything beyond that. And you only get one user. So with Simple Start, it's just one user, plus you can invite an accountant. The price for that is $25 a month. You'll see I have the bigger and the smaller price. When you get QuickBooks through a Pro Advisor, you get a discount. You get 30% off basically. So when it's through a Pro Advisor, it would be $17.50, but you have to start that way. If you already have QuickBooks Online and then you start working with an accountant into it, QuickBooks won't let us switch you over to that pricing. It's only if you're new. and then it gets billed through us then. So we actually pay for it on our Pro Advisor account, and then we bill you, and then you pay us back. Some accountants, you can keep a different margins. You might see different amounts. 30% is the full discount. That's how much QuickBooks reduces it. So that's Simple Start. Essentials is the most common one, I would say, that our users use. It has all of the features that you would see in Simple Start, but in addition to that, you can enter and pay bills. And that's obviously bills that you owe to other people. You can cut checks right out of the software. Also, with both of them, you can do ACH and credit card. So as far as taking payments, you can do credit card payments from QuickBooks, and they do charge a fee, but it's competitive to other credit cards. If you swipe the card directly, it's 2.5%. If you send them an email and they key it in, it's 3%. If you key it in over the phone, it's 3.5%. You can also pay or get paid by ACH. I believe that's 1.5%, but it's much less than a credit card. But I don't recall the exact amount that QuickBooks charges you. But you're able to do that with both of them. Well, not the bill part, but the invoice part. Also in Essentials, you can track time. So you or your team, if you are having people punch in and out, or if you just want to track your own time working on a job, or if you bill by the hour, you can track your time. And it allows up to 3 users plus an accountant for Essentials. That's $50 a month, $35 a month if you're going through an accountant. And then the next one is Plus. All the features we've already talked about. It's adding 3 main things. It adds classes. What that does for you is if you want to track things separately, if you have a flower shop, but then you also have within the flower shop a yarn shop, and you want to know what your sales or expenses are for both, well, you can add flower shop and yarn shop as a class, and then each time you do an entry, you pick the class so that you have information to split it out amongst your activities. You can do multiple locations. So if you happen to have more than one location that you're operating, you can use that. And again, you just pick the location when you're doing your entries, and it'll track by your location. And then the other one is inventory. You can use and track inventory. Not all small businesses have to do inventory. There are some exceptions where you can expense your inventory, even if you're an inventory type business. But should you be tracking inventory, this would be the version that you would need to use. And it also allows you to go up to 5 users. QuickBooks Plus is $80 and then $56 if you go through an accountant. We won't go over the next one. The next one is just not going to be used. Next slide, please. So the main benefits, we've kind of touched on this, but the benefits of QuickBooks Online is multiple users at a time. That's very nice. Now, if you're a sole proprietor, it doesn't really matter. But if you have anybody besides you, I'll be logging in, or maybe you're a sole proprietor and your spouse or significant other is helping you, it's nice to be able to both get in at a time then. You can access your file from most devices that internet. The reason I say most is if you download the app, as we've all run into, sometimes devices aren't compatible. I haven't heard of that, but I'm sure there's some that would not work. More robust financial reporting. The Simple Start does enough. It does enough for you to get your taxes done. It does enough for you to have a decent idea of how your business is doing, but it's not going to go much beyond that. The accountant being able to work in the file without sending a file, that's a very nice one. Without doing that, you're looking at quite a bit of back and forth, and helping is a lot more difficult to do, or getting help is a lot more difficult to do. So that's very nice. And then your work my work or an accountant's work doesn't need to be replicated or loaded. If you send what's called an accountant's file on QuickBooks Desktop, that can come and back to you, and you can load it. It can be layered on top of your file. Or if you send a backup, which is what most of our clients do, then you have to either not work in your file till I send this version back to you and then you overwrite yours, or I have to send you everything I did and then you need to replicate what I did in your machine. So it's just a lot smoother to get help and to collaborate with your accountant when you're using QuickBooks Online. I believe that's the last slide. Is that right, Ramona? Can we click to see? All right. I'm going to show you a little bit of QuickBooks now. I just need to share my screen. right. All right. So this looks different just because of the fact that I'm an accountant. So there's a lot of different companies in here. First, I'm going to show you this company. And now this company, I do have permission to show you, but also they don't have their name in there. So it doesn't, tell you who it is. This is the simple start option. So this is where it's more geared towards doing your Schedule C. You can see that it gives you some tiles here, so you can see information, your expenses, your profit and loss, estimated tax that you're going to have based on your profit and loss that you've had for the year, your balance of cash. And then over here, you can track your miles. You can keep track and pay taxes directly through here. And then this person doesn't actually send out bills, but this is how you would invoice people. You'd invoice them through here. So you would create a customer invoice, and I'll show you a little bit of that on the other screen. And then you have this transactions, which is one of the nicest things about QuickBooks. So here you can download your transactions. So you can pull a file from your bank, and then you can download it directly in here, and it shows up just like this. And then you go through and you pick, is this business or is this personal, or do you need to split it? Then you pick your category. And that's it. It's pretty straightforward when you do that. And it makes it pretty easy to do your accounting. When we look at reports, you can see, these are the reports. This is what you get. If I bring up a profit and loss, that's going to show you your profit and loss. And this is geared towards a Schedule C. So these are actually the buckets you'll see on a Schedule C. Other, you usually want to break out a little more. But if you're categorizing into these buckets, it also makes doing your taxes much easier as well. If I go back over to mine, and if I go to sales, so now you can see I have plus, so I have a little more than what essentials would be, but you can see just from the number of options, there's a lot more here. There's payroll, you've got budgets, you can pay payroll and sales tax through here. You can set up workflows. I don't have any clients that do that, but that determines, you create an invoice and you want to be approved first. You're sending it to someone that it needs to get approved, or, it's basically doing a workflow for a document or a process. And then you have this banking. With this banking, it actually feeds it in live. So instead of having to go get it and download it, it's just connected to your bank account. You do a refresh. It pulls in all the activity since the last time you refreshed, and then you go through and you categorize it. Within customers, you can see customers here. You create an invoice. And this is what creating an invoice looks like. If you have an email, you can put in an email and you can do a save and send, and it'll actually send an email directly to your client or customer, and they click a button on it and they enter their credit card or bank information and they pay you that way. Otherwise, you can print it and send it like normal. You can see I have the online payments. You can also do it yourself through these options as well. And as far as doing an actual invoice, this is the customer's information. You just come down here, you pick whatever product they're getting, accounting services, and then a description of some sort. And then if it's, whatever, $125, that's it. You save it. You can print it, you can send it, but that's it for doing an invoice and getting it sent out. Once you've done it, and somebody, if they come in to pay you, they give you a check or they want to do credit card, you do a receive payment, and you can go down to credit card, or you can do check or cash, and then you plug in your amount, and then you save it. So again, very straightforward. There are various other softwares that are available for small business accounting, not-for-profit accounting, but QuickBooks is the largest and is usually going to have the best functionality and the best support. It's just a function of the money they have and the ability they have to do it. So you'll see it's something like 90% of small businesses use QuickBooks. So although there are other options, this is the most prevalent, and I can tell you our clients all use either QuickBooks or our software, which is Accounting CS, but it's one or the other. I have not had a single client come in and say, I'm using X, Y, or Z product. It's always one of the two. All right, that was the high level I wanted to do on QuickBooks, and I think we can do some questions.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. It's always been like every time I hear about QuickBooks, everybody speak of it like so big and so hard to do. And your presentation just made it so much simpler for me, at least, to see how I can use it for myself. So I'm definitely I'm not sure if that's due to the upgrades and changes that they have made with it, or if it's always been this way. But it just seems like people have like a thought already of QuickBooks and how hard it is.
I think you're right, and I think they have progressively made it more user-friendly over time, and it is to the point where a whole lot of functions can be done by somebody, whether they're accountant or not, or with some limited support from an accountant.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying it is because Matt was able to help us with QuickBooks, and so the same, like you said, Kenyatta, I was like, QuickBooks is like this massive thing. And so when how Matt broke it down, it was like, oh, what? I'm about to be a QuickBooks expert. Spending time with Matt, I feel like a QuickBooks expert, but I'm still looking at Matt like, okay, Matt, you got us.
Mm-hmm. So let's ask some questions now. So you had mentioned that people can purchase it through an accountant. Can they also purchase it from like QuickBooks website? And then if they purchase it from a pro advisor, which is an accountant, do you guys train us or show us how to use it?
So typically you can buy it wherever. You know, if you're doing desktop, you can go into a store, a Best Buy, a Walmart, you can buy it, or you can buy it and download it online. QuickBooks Online, you can go to their website and do it. The only thing you're getting by going to an accountant that's a pro advisor is the 30% discount. It's supposed to be an incentive. You know, as I mentioned, we have a different software that we use as well, Accounting CS it's called. And from QuickBooks perspective, it's an incentive to them to have us, you know, sell QuickBooks more or less. And in some cases, you know, a lot of accountants, they'll take part of it, you know, so whatever, they tell you it's a 20% discount. Well, then they get 10%. But that's what QuickBooks is doing, is they're trying to get accountants to recommend their product. As far as help, we do that. That's a service that really any QuickBooks Pro advisor would offer, and even ones that aren't probably would. But as far as limited things, well, I can't speak for other accountants. As far as limited things or throughout, that's just kind of something we do. You know, so if you got QuickBooks now and you are getting an employee for the first time, if you call and said, I'm just not sure, do I do this or I do that? We just answer that question. You know, we're not sending you a bill. If it's more of a formal training session or teaching you how to use it, and there's time involved, like not a few minutes. If there's significant time involved, then there is a cost. It depends on what exactly you're looking to do, but then there is a cost for training on it. And it depends on people's comfort. Some people are more technologically advanced than others, and some people it's just not going to happen. But for people that understand software and are fairly used to navigating around in software, there's a lot that you can do on your own without the help of an accountant, with just a little bit of training and then having that resource to be able to call or email as you hit speed bumps in the road.
Mm-hmm. You had mentioned that the QuickBooks Online, I think it's called, it is in the cloud. So is there any reason that a person would have to also save it, like save a backup of it on their own computer? And if so, how would they do that?
So you can't, and you really don't have to. So it's going to be on Intuit servers is what it's going to do. Well, they probably contract with Amazon or Microsoft, but it'll be on their servers. But as a part of that, they are making backups of your file every hour. And then beyond that, their servers have redundant backups as well. And they even have disaster recovery sites. So where their server farm is, if a tornado hit it, the backup servers that they have are in a different part of the country to avoid that from happening. So really what they're doing is above and beyond anything we would do. And prior to me purchasing this firm in January, I worked at a large multi-billion-dollar company, actually putting in a new software for them. And we had to go through, kind of all this to determine, do I want to do cloud, do I want to do on-premises? And really, it is to the point where even compared to a very large company, what they're doing with the data in the cloud is more secure than probably 99% of companies in the United States is doing. It's just better than what we can do as a small business.
So let's say that I have a clothing store. Could you walk me through, like, in a day or a week, how many times I would enter into my QuickBooks account and what that looks like, from like serving a customer, my inventory, and all that? Could you like show me that process?
Yeah, so it depends a little bit, and what it depends on is how you do your sales. So a lot of stores that are more retail focused, they'll use QuickBooks for their accounting, but they'll have a different point of sale system like Square. I can't think of other ones for whatever reason, but they'll have a different point of sale system. So it's a separate software. It's the iPads, they turn them around, you pick your tip, you do all that. And when that's the case, Square deposits into your bank account. So your sales are all being done in Square, any invoices you have. Well, with clothing, it's not usually, it's not like what I do, where I might do something for you and then I send you a bill and you pay me later. Retail, you're not really doing that. It's a transaction at the register. So in that scenario, Square deposits to your bank account. You have your business bank account hooked up to QuickBooks. So the information is automatically going to that transaction screen. Everything that's going through that account is going there. So how often you need to go in to do it is really two main things. One would be if you're paying your bills there, you would go in to pay your invoices. I can tell you I do mine weekly, but it really depends on the business. Something like a clothing store probably has to do it more frequently because you're going to have more vendors to pay and more frequent bills. And then you have the choice of paying online, or you can write a check, or you can print a check with QuickBooks. And then the other part you have to do is you're accounting for the items that are leaving your bank account and coming into it. That you can do, as frequently or as infrequently as you want. It's there, it's waiting for you. However, if you wait 3 months to do it, some stuff's going to be obvious. Most of the time, any deposit in your bank account is revenue. It's your sales. So that's, regardless when you do it, you're going to know that. But other things like checks, and it says check 1745, you're going to have to go look that up. It becomes more cumbersome to do it. Whereas if you're doing it on a weekly basis, oh yeah, $275, I remember that. I did that here. And then you just categorize it. So the best practice would be to do it sooner, more frequently. But really, you can do it as often as you want. When I get off with you, I have a restaurant that they haven't done it since last tax season, and that's going to be the rest of my day going through their items. And I'll be the one going to the bank account and figuring it all out. And from that perspective, too, if you're paying someone like me to do it, a lot of times it's based on time, the time involved. So even if you need an accountant to do these things, if you do some of the work on your own, with almost every accountant, you're going to save money because, right now we work 7 days a week during tax season. If you save us time, we bill you less money because we're busy. So it's kind of up to you. If you do your invoicing through QuickBooks, it's a little bit different. That's more of a not doing like a clothes store. That's more of a something like what I do, where you're actually doing periodic billing on projects or tax returns, not where you have 87 customers coming in a day. QuickBooks does offer something for that. I'm not familiar with it. I don't have any clients that use it. All of our clients that are retail choose to use a different software, and then we import it to QuickBooks.
So does QuickBooks have a POS, point of sale, attached to it, or they don't?
They do. Yes. Well, they have bolt-ons that you can do, and they will integrate with them. That's why I'm hesitating. It's not made by QuickBooks. There's various items, even Square. So for the most part, what they do is you can do some limited type of that in QuickBooks, but basically they have various partners and softwares that will work with QuickBooks, and it'll integrate in. So if you want to have your customer detail there, you don't want to just have your deposit information, where it'll come through, it'll go directly to the customer you created. It will show up as a payable or, the money you took in. But as a standalone, they don't really have that functionality.
Matt, with the with QuickBooks, you had talked about the reporting, and as business owners, we're looking at, okay, I got to go fill out this sheet, or where's my P&L, and where is this? And so it seems like in that space, I don't know what other, I know we got a snapshot, but what other great business resources may be in the reporting instead of me having to run over here to this file or to that file.
So they have a lot of, with the Simple Start, you saw the reports. There's only the few, and that's but when you're going with the other ones, they have a lot of different options. They break them out. So there's payroll reports, there's who do you owe, who owes you, and when it comes to those, they have a couple of really nice features. One, with the who do you owe, who owes you, they have snapshots all over, but then reports of your aging. So you can see if you owe money. I forgot to pay this 60 days overdue. Or the other side, this person owes me money, this person's overdue. So they do a very good job of having the reporting to see your receivables and your payables. But then with all of the reports, they have drill through capability. So if I look and I see Ramona, she owes me $7,000, and I see it kind of spaced out. Well, if I click on that $7,000, I'll get a list of all the invoices that Ramona owes me, the dates and the amounts. And then if I want, I can click on the invoice and drill into that and see, oh, she owes me for doing her taxes last year for this invoice, and it's this much. So it really allows you to dig into something by drilling from a higher level report down to the level of detail that you need. Another option I didn't mention, but that QuickBooks does, is it allows you to scan and store receipts. The reason that's really nice is when it comes to an accountant doing your taxes, if I do your taxes this year, I don't need to see your receipts. You can bring me a page, or you can bring me an envelope of receipts. You can do whatever you want, but what I need is the numbers. I can take your word for it as my client. I can trust you and take your numbers. But if you get audited, then you need the receipts. And even if you have a credit card statement and it's very obvious on the statement, it doesn't matter. It can say basically desk bought and delivered to, 2830 Ramada Way. You need to have a detailed receipt or it will be disallowed by the IRS. So keeping your receipts is very important. It doesn't mean you have to have them in wonderful order. I can tell you honestly, I have a folder that I throw them in, and once the year's done, I file that folder. Because the only time you need it is if you do get audited. You just want to know that you have them. Being able to scan them is nice because you can scan them into QuickBooks by taking a picture, or you can email it to yourself, and then you attach it to the transaction. And QuickBooks will identify that probably 80% of the time. Sometimes they can't read the receipt well enough, but you'll go into your banking to do categorization, and they'll say, we found a receipt match. And it's just there, and then it links them together. And it's a way to store those receipts that you'll need should you get audited.
Dun, dun, dun.
Right. The receipt thing is like the dog ate my receipt.
Interesting. Okay. So I got two questions for you. So you had mentioned that I forgot my other question, but I'll ask this question. For the mileage, first question. In paying a bill, or if you're going in and paying someone, will QuickBooks automatically send it, or is it just showing you how much right on your actual check, or is it hooked up to your account?
So you kind of do all of the above. You can have it if you'd like, where you pay through ACH. You click schedule payment. You need to know their banking information, so you know where to send it. But you can send it directly from your bank to theirs, or vice versa if you're taking money in. You also have the option where you can print off your bill and just handwrite a check. Send it off that way. Or you can print a check. You can buy check stock and just print it straight out of your printer and then do it that way. Most of our clients do the check stock from the printer. I would say that's the most common, but a decent number still do manual checks. They'll just write, if they do fairly infrequent checks, they'll just write it out. Some people use their bank bill pay. So they'll just go onto the bank and do it there and wait for it to come through QuickBooks, and then they'll categorize it for whatever that expense is. Mm-hmm. So it really kind of lets you do it however you'd like to do it.
Okay. And then the mileage, if you have a business that you have to keep track of your mileage, is that where the app comes in handy? Do you just put it in each road trip, or can it know as you're driving to calculate the mileage?
That's a perfect question. I don't know if it can do that. I will find out and I will get back to you. There are definitely apps that do that. I'm just not certain if QuickBooks will be able to keep track of you're moving, you're driving now, and therefore I'm going to record this. I know there's apps. I use an app. It's not QuickBooks. Don't tell QuickBooks. And it hooks up to the Bluetooth of my truck. So whenever I get in my truck and I drive, and once I go past, I don't know, 5 miles an hour, whatever it is, it clicks on and then it keeps track of my trip and then it stops when I stop. The only real downside is it doesn't know if I'm working, going to work, or going to Dairy Queen, whatever it is. So periodically you need to go in there and you need to delete out the trips or mark trips as personal so you get the right trips. For me, it's pretty easy. I live in Appleton and I work in Ashwaubenon. So for the most part, I just kind of look at the map. If it's in Ashwaubenon, I'm assuming it's business. If it's in Appleton, I'm assuming it's not business. QuickBooks has the ability to track your mileage by trip or by project. I'm just not certain if the app does it for you or not, but I can find that out and get back to you on that one.
Okay.
Awesome.
This is more accounting than QuickBooks, but since mileage came up, something to keep in mind with autos in general, it's an area where a lot of small business owners have questions. You can do really one of three things. If your business owns the vehicle, then business owns the vehicle and all expenses go to the business. So you fill up gas, you have to get an oil change, blow a tire. But in that scenario, it really needs to be 100% business. If it's not, let's say the business owns the vehicle, but you use it for personal 30% of the time. Well, then you or your accountant needs to come up with the value of that 30% of the time and it's income to you. You pay taxes on that. So really, unless it's 100%, it's not desirable. Most people will be a personal vehicle. And then what you do is you keep track of your mileage like we were talking about, and then you get a rate for that. Right now it's 58.5 cents. If you drive 100 miles, it's 58.50. If you're an S Corp and pay yourself a salary, you take as a reimbursement. Otherwise, it's just an expense on your taxes. And if you do that, then you don't do any of the direct expenses. So if you're getting the mileage reimbursement, if you're filling up your tank because you're driving to Tennessee for work, you don't put that on there because you're already getting that built into that mileage reimbursement that you're getting. It's one or the other. And so mileage is almost always the better way to go. It makes it so you get a better deduction and the headache is much, much less. So that's typically the best way to go. It's just not both.
Thank you so much for that extra information. If you guys are still on with us, watching us live or watching us via the replay, we hope that you have gained some information from this live with us, with Matt, with Watier and Associates.
Verkuilen.
Verkuilen.
Before, that's what the W is.
Yeah,
when you started.
I know it was a change, but I was like, I saw this in the thing. Okay. With Matt from Verkuilen and Associates.
I'm telling Jeff.
Yes. They can be found at www.wvaccounting.com, wvaccounting.com. They're a great accounting company, so please reach out to them if you have any questions of what we learned about today, or if you are in need of an accountant in general, please reach out to them. If you are in our comment section, we have a survey. It's just a 4-question survey. Please click on that and fill out the survey for us if you enjoyed this content and want other things from the Colorful Business Association. Please let us know what you're looking for and how we can better serve you as an organization through that link that is in the comment section. So join us again today at 2 p.m. as we have our recap of yesterday, our first day of the 3-day financial series, and then of today, our second day. Please join us today at 2 p.m. for that. Thank you guys for viewing this information session, and thank you, Matt, again for being with us from Verkuilen and Associates.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Bye, guys.